And I was sat at this desk in China, and I didn't know what to be doing with my time, and no one really gave me anything to do with my time. And so I was sitting there bored out of my mind, like bored out of my mind. For a few days, I hated it, because I had nothing to do. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all these guys around me, and all these, even the Western guys around me, they're fluent in Mandarin. So everything they're saying, I can't understand anything. I'm just sitting there, I can't even learn from them because they're all talking in another language. So in the end, I always had a strong kind of feeling in me that whatever I'll do to create, I'll do. Now, those of you who watched my speeches before, you'll know I talk about the idea of waiting versus creating. And that you have to be a creator. You have to create at every opportunity, not wait. And my decision was I can either wait here and do nothing, or I can start doing something. So I went to one of the directors and I said, look, just give me the phone book. Give me the phone book, I'll just call through people. And at that stage, I barely knew what we were even selling. Right? But they said, oh, well, you know, you can talk to people and see if they're interested in commercial office space right now. So I'm like, fine, give me the book. So I got this phone book. There's all these, you know, Chinese companies in there, and as soon as I called up the first one, I quickly realized this was going to be very difficult, me being English and trying to ask whether they wanted any commercial property space in English. And so I started talking, and no one understood me. And then I thought, well, okay, what's the first thing I need to do here? Because whenever we're trying to decide when we're doing something in life, how can I do this? You've always got to think of the thinnest slice that you can bring it down to. What's the thinnest slice that I can bring this down to that I can do next? Rather than being daunted by this thing, what's the first little thing that I can do? And I thought, well, the first little thing that I can do is I can find out how to say one line in Chinese that's going to get me to someone who speaks English. So I would then get on the phone, and in my head, I would practice line, and I'd practice it. I got to a point where I'd then get on the phone, and I'd say it in kind of a stunted way, but I'd have the line in my head. So I'd say, 帮我张导会说英文的一位同事. And in that moment, someone would go,对. And they would put me over to someone who spoke English. Right? In that moment, they'd have it. So I go, oh, brilliant. So I now have someone who spoke English. Now I could actually make a sale. But that moment was the moment that counted, because I couldn't have got to that stage without that. And so what I learned is the concept of layering. The concept of layering, taking one thin slice, getting that done before you worry about mastering the next stage. Now in business, it's about taking the immediate issue in front of you. If I'm trying to set up this company, if I'm trying to go further in business, I've got to find out the immediate thing that's right in front of me and do that first. Now, I said to you that one of the most difficult things I found was when I started, I was in coach mode, but I needed to be in business mode as well, because I needed to understand how to actually grow this thing. And over time, I learned a few things about actually operating a business, and you know, I got a lot to learn yet. I'm still humbled by this whole thing. But what I'd like to share with you is some of the things that I've actually found over the past few years in doing this, and see if you might be able to benefit from that. I think even if you've been running a business for a while now and you're experienced in business, understanding these things again and taking them on again won't do you any harm. Okay, so I'm going to get you to grab your pads right now. And I want you to write down my first point, which is, for God's sake, just start. Just start. If right now you are in a position where you have an idea, you have something you want to do, just start. Do something. There's this terrible perfectionist mindset that we have in our culture. That unless I'm ready, unless I'm completely ready, I'm not going to do it. Now, if I'd have waited in China to decide when I was completely ready to show a guy like that around, I never would have done it. And I never would have had that opportunity in the first place. We have to be in a position where we say, I'll never be completely ready. I have to find a way to start now. Even if I go back to that thin slicing concept, what's the first thing I can do? What's the first thing that I can do? And you know what's funny? There's this whole Perfectionism is a joke. Because there are very few people in the world who are genuine perfectionists. Like people always, I'm a perfectionist, that's my problem, I'm a perfectionist. In my experience, there are a tiny, tiny percentage of people in the world who are actually perfectionists. The rest of them are disguising cowardice as perfectionism. It's really cowardice. It's like saying, there's someone I'm attracted to over here. I'll do it when I'm ready. And we can say that we're waiting to get ready, or we could be honest and say, I'm just being a complete coward right now. That's the choice we make. And so what happens is when people make it about, well, I'm not ready yet, I need to make sure it's perfect, they're making it about something else. They're making it about circumstances, when actually we have to make it about an identity issue. Who do I want to be in life? Well, I want to be someone who takes action. I want to be someone who takes charge. I want to be someone who pushes forward no matter what. Can I do that right now if I'm being a coward about not starting something? No. All right, so let's start. And there's a very good friend of mine who's a known writer in London, wrote some amazing plays for the West End, done some incredible things. He said that, we were having this interesting conversation the other day, and he said, when as a writer you get writer's block, one of the things they teach you is to lower your standards. If you get writer's block, lower your standards for what you're expecting of yourself. Isn't that kind of cool? We have insanely high standards of ourselves. We have standards that say we can never get it wrong. We can never screw up. And you know you wouldn't expect those standards from anyone else, but on some level we expect it from ourselves. In order to get over our writer's block, or any block in life, we need to initially lower our standards a little bit. How can I lower my standards in order to get started? Next, take every opportunity seriously. Take every opportunity seriously. There are many instances where I see people just not capitalizing on the little opportunities that are around them. And it's because they're kind of being too discerning about what's what. If someone is interested in what you do and wants a meeting, have the meeting. If there's somewhere you can go just to suss something out, go. If there's someone you think might be worth calling, call them. In the beginning, take every opportunity seriously. When I work with new business people, there's something I find time and time again, and it's that they've completely underrated the value of selling. Whatever you do, whatever business you're looking to run, whatever market you're looking to be in, learn to sell. Get really, really good at it. There's this arrogance amongst so many people that sales is somehow beneath them. That sales is somehow beneath them. And it's a terrible, terrible way to be. Because you're at the top of your business. You are the only person that is truly responsible for making it survive. Because anyone else can just go and get another job. Anyone else can leave tomorrow and find another job. You're the only one who is truly 100% invested in that outcome. No one else cares about it as much as you do. And one of the things I see is people, as soon as they can delegate sales, they delegate sales. As soon as they can remove themselves from that, they'll remove themselves, because I don't want to be involved in selling. I just want to be involved in prettying up the product, putting some more bells and whistles on it. Doesn't even need them. Right? Just doing a few extra things. Oh, there's some paperwork to do. Oh, there's other things to do. What I see everywhere is what we call avoidance activity. Avoidance activity. Avoidance activity is, I'm going to do everything else except the one thing that I really should do. But we have to identify what's the thing that's going to get me there. What's the thing that's going to get me there the most? And not have that arrogance that I'm somehow above sales. We're never above sales. And no matter how big your business gets, you're still never above sales. And in addition, sales, the funny thing is, you're not just selling a product, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself. I truly believe selling yourself to be one of the most important skills you can ever learn in your whole life. I think it's everything. Whether it's attraction you're focusing on, whether it's business you're focusing on, I think selling yourself is the most important thing you can ever learn.